Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to call the Human Services Committee meeting to order and affidavit. Oh, I think it's all right. No, thank you, Don. This agenda was posted in the office of the county clerk on the 25th day of October, 2021. Notice was sent to the West Bend Daily News, Express News, WIBD, WMBZ Radio, WTKM Radio, My Community Now, Hartford Times Press, Kewaskum Statesman, and the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. We have a quorum, so we can proceed. And would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, then our first item is our consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve. And I'll second that. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And opposed, and that motion carries. So our next huge item is a Samaritan project discussion. Are you taking this one, our county exec?
Yes, Madam.
We just have to give
Chairwoman.
you a microphone, huh?
Yes.
Okay. You're on.
So you'll see that there's tandem items on this agenda for your discussion. There's kind of an update on where we're at, which we're here now talking about. But it's a prelude to what you're going to talk about in a moment, and hopefully you've read about in your packet as regard to grant application. You'll note that over the course of the last couple of months, we've been having this ongoing discussion about construction and the tenure of and future of Samaritan campus. Where we're at today, in essence, is that there's this grant application that has become an opportunity. It's American Recovery Plan Act dollars through the state of Wisconsin. And basically, the reason that we're coming to you with that is holistically, in order for us to be able to do this project and balance the three areas of Medicaid funding, age of the facility, and staffing that we've been struggling with all along, there's got to be some sort of offset to the principal and interest payments, the capital cost of the new building. That's kind of what everything seems to be boiling down to. Is that fair to say it that way? So a number of things that have been on our radar for a long time is that, and why we started down the path of a referendum was we knew there's some sort of subsidy was going to be required. And a referendum seemed like the easiest way to go about doing that. Now where we stand today, if we're able to secure that grant, it offsets the overall capital costs large enough that the principal and interest payments get small enough that then we're able to continue to operate the entire campus as we've done historically without property tax, sales tax subsidy. Okay, so Matt and the team, including Julie, Taya, Whipfley, and the rest of the Partridge in a Pear Tree, have been doing a great job on kind of fleshing out all of the details on what the actual costs are going to be. We have a bunch of that information right on the verge of being prepared. But what I didn't want to have happen is for us to kind of come out with all of that information with this backdrop of this grant happening simultaneously, because that could materially change the policy question in front of you, which I think really kind of boils down to how do we cover that that subsidy cost or that additional cost above and beyond what Samaritan has been able to handle itself for the better part of 15 years. So where we're standing today is kind of giving you that update where the construction documents, the work of the architect are really in their final phase, in their last few days. Now we're literally talking about dotting I's and crossing T's. The financials are also in that state. There's some debate over the length of a loan and how long can the county borrow? Typically it's 20 years. There are exceptions for 30 years. Do we fall in this exception category? But the long and short of it is, if we apply for this grant and we get this grant, kind of all of that stuff takes care of itself, and it becomes less of a kind of pressure cooker of an issue, because it'll take away the necessity for that discussion of subsidy, and it really kind of pushes you right into, we can do this living within our means as we are today. Kind of all the excuses for why we wouldn't do it go away. So the three things that we started with, the age of the existing building and all of that goes away because we're building a new building. The Medicaid reimbursement is much better than it was, although that's a long-term challenge, but nonetheless, it's better than it was with the 12% increase in the next 2 years of the state biennium. And then the staffing challenge is everybody, the whole industry is going to face that. So I think we'd be in a much better position with new facilities and the excitement that surrounds that. So I guess what I'm asking for the committee to do today is take up this grant application, just like we did last month with the WEDC grant application. Push that through and forward. Julie and again, the team has done a great job of kind of formulating a comprehensive grant application. Let that work its way through the process. And if we get it, we're coming back here with a much, much easier public policy decision. Not that it's easy, but it's significantly easier. So I think that's where we sit today. We could go into all kinds of detail about what the architecture looks like and what the funding looks like. But again, I think it's really not relevant until we know the answer to this grant question. And so that it's a little bit of a strategic pause again, in a way. But we're still ultimately moving towards the goal of a decision on building or not. Now, with that said, full disclosure, if we go through this process, you approve that resolution here at committee, recommend such to the county board, and they approve it in November. If we are not to get that grant, then the weight of the issue continues on, and there's kind of a major decision point, and that revolves around we're trying to get a solid answer to, can we borrow for 20 years or can we borrow from 30 years? And that'll really have a huge impact on how much, if any, subsidy is needed from taxpayers, from local taxpayers specifically. So there's still some hurdles to get over, but if the grant is secured, it kind of takes care of all of the others. So I think it's worthwhile going through that process. And when we've read through the application, and Julie can speak to it in way more detail, she's been in the throes of it. I think we'll be competitive. So that, I think that's the update. Is there anything else I should touch on for today? Anything else I'm missing? Okay. I think that's the update for now. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer those.
All right. Any questions? Pam, anything from you?
No, I just truly appreciate the work that you guys are doing and this whole grant process, that, you know, you got the wherewithal to realize that this was even an option and that you took a full advantage of it and acted upon it in a very timely manner. So thank you very much.
Anyone else? Lois? Okay.
Thank you, Pam.
You answered one of my questions that was on my mind, so thank you for that. What happens if we don't get the grant? So, okay.
Yeah.
We'll be
I do have one question. Yeah, when would we know an answer on the grant? Is a time frame for that? Did I miss that in the information?
I don't think that was a question I was also going to ask when we got to the resolution, but we can address that now.
Yeah, they said in their first iteration to be December. What I read today was they're expecting January.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you hear that, Pam?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, then I think that takes care of item 5. So we'll go to our action items, which the first one is the resolution grant application, neighborhood investment fund grant program. So
Yep,
Julie?
yes. So thank you. So as we've been discussing, the proposal before you, the resolution before you, is to give us approval to write for and then accept, if awarded, a $12 million neighborhood investment grant, which would cover the projected costs of building a new Samaritan of about 40 to 48%. I wanted Supervisor Sorcy to be here, but I'll say it for all of your benefit. He did task us with finding outside dollars, and so we are trying to do that. So we'll have to say it at county board as well. So I think the thing that's important for us to know, I know we've been talking about what if we don't get the grant, and then what we will have to bring forward to Human Services and then the county board around that public policy decision, but in approving this resolution, if we are to receive the grant, then that is approving us to move forward, which then includes bonding the rest of the dollars. So I think that that's important to bring up. I know that we had a similar resolution from Land Use and Planning last month, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that. So we are in the middle of writing that. It is due on November 11th. They did just change the due date today, so it's due November 11th. But as the county executive indicated, a lot of our plans and our finances are pretty close to being finalized to be able to be presented, and those will be items that we'll be including in this grant application as well.
Okay.
So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions, Lois?
I see that you could have applied for up to 15 million. What was the decision to cap it at 12?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It gets a little complicated. Matt and I spent a couple of hours in his office doing the finances, but it's connected to the fact that once we start receiving dollars from our bed rate, that is actually income. And so if we had asked for the full 15 million, then we actually could have been almost looking at like some type of supplanting in some way because of what we'll end up getting back for our bed rate, and then also what we'll be paying back for the bonding rate, if that's semi-accurate. Mhm.
So, another way to say that is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but another way to say that is either way, non-county money will cover it. So it was just a matter of which non-county money do you want? The 12 million is enough to make sure that there is no county money at all. It'll be the grant plus Medicaid or Title 19. The revenues from revenues from Medicaid are from the project, if you will. Yep, right. They're just paid over time. 75,900 per bed.
Okay. Well, good for that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Yes, go ahead.
So this is the first I've heard of January. This is
Well,
all changing
I
in
heard
real
January
time.
last night.
Oh, see, well, we got a 12-hour heads up. So it's important to know, and I don't think we should stop, but it's important to know that because January is also the deadline if we were ever to go to referendum. And I bring that up because if we're now going to wait for the grant, basically we're going to forego the possibility of a referendum in April, which I am now to the point where I think we should forego a referendum. And the reason I think we should forego a referendum, despite the fact that I think this is a decision that's big enough the people in Washington County need to make it, there's just so much stinking money flying around that I don't know how we could possibly with a straight face go to the community and say, oh, by the way, we need a couple $100,000 a year. It's going to make no sense. From an accounting perspective, it's true, and there's no doubt. But I think at this stage in the game, we do need to do everything we possibly can to fund it with, as we always have, without local taxpayer dollars. But you need to know if you make this decision, it's very possible you're also foregoing the possibility for a referendum.
Yeah, I think any big issue such as what we've been looking at, it's a constantly evolving, changing process, and things happen along the way. But all of it is good because it helps us make the right decision, hopefully in the end. So I understand what you're saying, Josh. So I agree with that as well. All right. If there aren't any further questions, then I would entertain a motion to approve this resolution grant application process.
Pam motions to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries. Thank you, everybody. And then on to our last action item, which is Samaritan staff retention package.
Yes.
Julie?
So as you recall, last month we came forward to committee for discussion and general approval around an increase of a percentage increase for RNs and CNAs, just to make sure that they remain competitive with the market in general. But as we've been discussing, we are in a healthcare crisis, staffing crisis as a country. And the needs and issues over at Samaritan are exacerbated by the uncertainty that the staff have around the future. As we all know, who've been having these public policy discussions for, I feel like, almost 2 years, it is wearing on the staff, and their uncertainty of their future and their employment is making staff to make different decisions. But we also know that regardless of what the outcome is, we're 2 years out from either a new building or closing of the current facility. And so we still have 2 years where we need to be caring for residents that live there, which means we also need staff. And so we've had discussions with the county executive's office about that and about that need, and he has generously agreed to utilize ARPA funding with approval from this committee to provide a retention package to the staff at Samaritan. The county executive did go to the Samaritan several weeks ago and met with the staff to discuss this package. We did indicate at that time that we still needed to talk with our attorneys around if what was legal, what wasn't legal. So that package has changed somewhat from what we discussed with the staff a few weeks ago. But what you have before us is what we would like to offer the staff at the Samaritan. It's a varied retention package. It gives hourly staff and an immediate direct hourly increase of $6. And then that would be $9 if they worked an overtime hour. It provides a retention for salaried staff if they were to stay with us through the end of this endeavor, whether it's in a new building or whether we're closing. It provides an increased shift differential for CNAs because our biggest pain point is PMs and sometimes night shift for CNAs. And then it also gives a bonus for salaried staff who are doing extra hours. They've implemented something called manager on duty, where administrative staff are coming in on the weekends and staying the nights to help out and do meals and support the team as we're understaffed. And so this is for them to continue to do that because they're salaried, and you get paid to do 40 hours or 80 hours. So that it is a bonus for them that's paid out over 2 times over the next 10 months to continue that. And then there is an incentive for any CNA to move from first shift or third shift to second. Matt has indicated that we would like to change that proposal to be an hourly increase over 10 months versus a flat cash, like one-time incentive. Just because it's easier from a financial standpoint, from a payroll standpoint, but it would still equal the 2,000 or 1,000 that's in your packet. So I will stop there and see if there's any questions. Well, let me just make sure that you see in the information that this is costing us about $2.3 million is the estimate.
Well, I personally want to thank you and the staff that put this together. I know this isn't easy, at least for my head to absorb all of this thank you for doing all that hard work. But most of all, I think, I'm sure that Lois and I and Pam, and I know Don for sure, is very appreciative of the Samaritan staff and what they're doing and how hard they're working to cover everyone that's over there. So please send our thanks to the staff across the street and let them know how grateful we are that they are sticking with us. So questions from anybody on this? Lois?
I'm not in the industry, so I'm gonna just maybe ask, how does this compare to what other bonus packages are being put together? And I'm sure they're being put together all the way, and these are ARPA funds.
Mhm.
Right. And so how does this compare? Have you looked at what other people are doing?
Sure. So I would say our retention and recruitment, actually, because this will help us recruit, package will be probably the top of what I'm seeing. You are correct. In every healthcare facility is trying to figure out, what do they do? What's the right bonus? What's the right recruitment? Most people are increasing salaries or hourly wages. They're also offering sort of, startup bonuses or higher bonuses, but those are connected to you staying on for 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. We originally had discussed doing that type of retention for hourly staff. But it was a couple of things. One, our lawyers indicated that we would have to pay that like a 6-month retention bonus based on overtime as well. And that would have cost us significantly more because you have to take into people's whole income that they're earning. But also it would have required people to wait, right? So wait the whole 18 months or 24 months. And people are recruiting healthcare workers today. They're giving cash today. So we felt like offering this $6 an hour was significantly more than any other facility is really offering. So I will give you an example. If we're hiring a CNA on an average at $17 an hour and they come on and work the PM shift for us, which is what we need, they will be getting $10 more an hour. So they'll get $27 an hour to work the PM shift for us, which is significant. Plus, if they work more hours, they want some overtime, they'll get $9 an hour for their extra $9 an hour for their overtime rate.
Let's hope the rest of the staff in the county stays where they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I truly appreciate too, being in healthcare my whole life, your efforts on this. And yeah, it's a national issue. It doesn't matter where in healthcare you are serving, from acute care, which is, my world, to the long-term care setting. And the system that I work for is focusing too more on retention and given, these staggered kind of bonuses for additional shifts, because otherwise too, bringing in an outside agency is costing them even more. And you got to keep the doors open. You got to keep serving people. You got to keep a certain, ratio, staff to patient, for safety and quality. So thank you very much.
Just to comment on that, Supervisor Conrath, is using a staffing agency does cost us significantly more, upwards of 40 to 50% more. And you don't always get the quality that you're looking for because they don't know our facility, they don't know our staff. And it's hard to find people at agencies anyway, right? They're having a hard time recruiting people as well.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I want to, again, show appreciation for staff, what you guys are doing. I think it's well worth the cost to give this extra benefit. You never want to be in a position where you don't know how long you're going to be in your job, but we're going to try to do right by you. So I'm supportive of this, and again, thank you guys for all what you guys do.
That being said, then I would entertain a motion to approve the Samaritan Staffing Retention Incentive Package. I'll
Sure.
make
Pam,
that
motion.
All right, go ahead, Pam.
Sure, Pam motions to approve the staffing incentive.
Right, and I will second that. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries. Our next meeting date, says on
Oh.
here, determine, no,
I have a question.
we aren't gonna set
Um,
it right now. Oh, we
okay.
are, okay. Yes.
Can
ma'am.
I ask a question? I know, these monetary incentives are very, can be very important, especially right now in today's world. But I'm concerned about the moral distress too of the healthcare team. And that's a big, huge, national world issue. And do we have additional needs for, the moral distress of the caregivers?
I think that's an excellent question. And it certainly, money is only one part of an equation when people are at a place of employment. For us, I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done. I think there's a lot of things that we can do to improve culture. The campus administrator, Taya Walk, has been, she's newer in this position. And she's been doing a lot of work with staff to try to address culture and ask what are the needs and what are the things that we should be doing. But we essentially right now just need to stop the bleed, and we need to be able to recruit more staff, because right now we're in crisis mode. And so it's really hard to work on morale and culture when you're just trying to plug in holes every single day. So, but it is a very good question. It is stuff that the team has been talking about and working on. And we have a new director of nursing. Her name is Madeline Steckner, if you want to sort of wave.
Awesome. Thank you.
She's here a week and a half. So super excited about her experience and expertise and what she can bring to the team. But it is stuff that needs, once we sort of get this part done and we're compensating people, then we have to do that other work, which is more the people work.
Yeah, and please let us know what we can do as a committee to help support that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, then let's move on to our November and December dates. What's the thought process here? Are we talking November? Oh, okay. Okay.
So we're looking at possibly having this meeting on Tuesday, November 16th at 4:30. And then on Tuesday, December 21st at 4:30. And I know last year the December meeting was canceled.
When it comes to December is if there are no action items, then let's skip December and wait till January. If, of course, we will meet, but
So are those dates favorable to you and the committee?
fine for me. Pam, does that work for you?
The November meeting works. The December meeting, I might be in Switzerland.
Oh,
I could Skype in.
okay. So I guess we'll leave it at those two dates then.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? I guess not. So we are ready to adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a
Thank
good
you.
rest of the day.